game is just played. Come after me! I'm a man! I'm 40! Can't wait! Let's go!
Welcome. It is Coffee and Sports. It is the morning show here on Sports Empire Network and streaming live on Roku TV this morning over on Northeast Streaming Sports. I am Chris, and that is Mo. Mo, how are you this morning, sir?
I'm doing well. Why couldn't I be doing well after coming off actually a dramatic and a very good performance by the Dallas Cowboys? Let's give credit where credit is due.
Let's give credit where credit is due. Mo, I thought we would see a better performance from a Kellen Moore-led Chargers offense. I know the Cowboys defense is good. I give them all the credit in the world. But we've seen Herbert and this offense do a lot more this season against good defenses. And I was really impressed last night with what the Dallas Cowboy defense was able to do to Kellen Moore and Justin Herbert and the Chargers offense. But two, I was more impressed with the slight change we saw in Mike McCarthy and his play calling. So he allowed Dak to be a distributor last night. He didn't rely or try to create situations for Dak to be a playmaker. And we've talked about this before here on the morning show. Dak Prescott is not Patrick Mahomes. He is not Josh Allen. He isn't someone that's going to go back there and 4 or 5 times a game create something out of nothing and just create magic based on his own talent and abilities. Although, Mo, he did have his longest career rushing touchdown last night of 18 yards. So, for someone that I have said numerous times here on the morning show, he's a pocket passer. Okay, Dak Prescott showing the wheels off a little bit last night.
He did a couple good things.
He did a couple good things with his feet. But Mo, I think if you're a Dallas Cowboy fan and you're sitting here this morning, you need more of this. You need more of Dak getting the ball in favorable situations to his actual weapons, because he's not an offensive weapon. He is an elite game manager, and these are the games the Dallas Cowboys should be winning. 20-17, 24-20, 31-21. You have a great defense. Let your defense do their thing. Don't keep them on the field too long because you keep getting 3 and outs because you're trying to deep ball it the entire time, and give your weapons some space to make some plays and see what happens, Mo.
I was impressed with 2 things. Like, normally he's not very good outside the pocket, but he made 2 really big throws on the move. It wasn't a play call. It wasn't something McCarthy did. This is something that he created in the moment. The big pass to CeeDee Lamb late in the game. He had another one. He had another move, a pass on the move. I just thought that he made 2 really good plays using his legs and his arms, and he had a clean game. There was maybe 1 pass where I thought that should have been a pick, but more times than not, I think he did 2 things. He made timely plays, and he took care of the football. You said it. They need more of this from him. My problem with Dallas right now is I actually think that the way that Mike McCarthy calls the game, he's calling the game too conservative. And it's almost like he's afraid of a Dak turnover, so he's play calling not to lose. And I think you have to have more confidence in your franchise quarterback going forward if you're really going to be one of the elite teams in the NFC.
Last night, Dak Prescott was 21 for 30. 272, 1 touchdown, no interceptions. He was sacked 5 times. You don't love to see that from your offensive line. But let's be honest, the Chargers, although they have their struggles in the back end, they do tend to get pressure on the quarterback, which is what happened last night. But like you said, Mo, more importantly, he didn't turn the ball over. So when things kind of collapsed around him, he protected the ball. when things were breaking down around him, he didn't really force the ball into bad situations. He did have that one pass that I thought was going to be a pick, but it wasn't. The running game, not so much last night. Pollard, 15 carries, 30 yards, 2 yards a carry. Not great. And then their other running back had 3 for 12. It was Lamb, it was Pollard, it was Cooks in the receiving game last night. Interestingly enough, Mo, Gallup, 10 targets. He led the team in targets last night.
Yeah, out of nowhere.
Only caught 3 balls. He did
not
have a great night.
No. And I think they did everything in their power to involve him early in the football game, and he just really couldn't make any plays. I was actually impressed that they finally got Brandon Cooks involved in the offense.
Effectively.
They brought him there because he gives you somebody with the kind of speed that can take the top off the defense, and he's been a virtual no-show. He's not been part of their offense, and they made a point a couple times to involve him. Even late in the game, that half reverse that he got late in the game for 14 yards on the drive that led to the field goal, I thought they exploited his speed. He's somebody they should involve more. If you get more out of Brandon Cooks, you will get more production from CeeDee Lamb, because CeeDee Lamb, even though he has speed, most of his work is done between the hashes.
And if you look at the other side of the ledger with the Chargers, Mo, it's very similar. They had no running attack last night. Austin Eckler, 14 carries, 27 yards, 1.9 yards a carry. Justin Herbert didn't lead the team in rushing like Dak did for Dallas, but he was the most efficient rusher of the game last night. 6 carries, 20 yards, 3.3 a clip. The difference is Herbert turned the ball over. He had the 1 interception, and unfortunately in this, I'm not going to call it a pattern, Mo, but I'm going to call it something that seems to happen on a more regular basis than you want if you're a Chargers fan. And that is Herbert turning the ball over in spots where you just can't have a turnover. And in this situation, it was kind of what more or less sealed the game for the Chargers as far as them not winning it. It's part of it. You know, Justin Herbert, for all the talent he has, Mo, all the records he is setting his first 3 or 4 years in the league, all the hype that comes with him, and you still have these moments, right? You still have these moments where when the game is on the line or they need a drive or they need it, he's 50-50. 50-50 at best right now in his career. And, you know, year 1, year 2, you look at it and you're like, hey, the kid's got all the talent in the world. Get off of him. He'll figure it out. Now you're getting a little bit later, you know, year 3, year 4, and you're looking at it like, okay, when can we be a little more consistent, Mo, in those situations?
And he has all the talent in the world. There were a couple of passes he made last night, a deep out that maybe 3 other quarterbacks can make in the entire football league. Like you can see the arm talent and you can see what makes him special at times, but he also missed on at least 3 or 4 opportunities that should have been touchdowns. They were there. They had opportunities. They were able to move the ball to a degree. He missed on opportunities late in the game. I'm like you. A lot of time, people oftentimes will call to attention the talent around him. And I'm like, he has tons of talent. They don't have a shortage of talent on the outside, behind him in the backfield. It really comes down to, like you said, late game execution in late game situations. How many times has he come through? And more times than not, he hasn't made that defining game-ending pass or game-winning pass more times than not. This isn't to say that he's not a talent, that he's not one of the top quarterbacks, but he does have his shortcomings. And at some point, like you said, you can't keep saying he's a young quarterback. He is a young man, but he's not a rookie anymore. He's a veteran now. So at some point, you're waiting for him to take that leap, that leap that Brady took in his career, or the leap that Mahomes took, even to a lesser degree, the leap that a guy like Matt Ryan took when he took Atlanta on that run and took them to the Super Bowl. And you haven't really seen that yet from him.
In the chat, Kyle asked a great question this morning. He says, who would you rather have, Justin Herbert or Josh Allen? And for me, it's really close. And I feel like a year ago, I would have said without question Justin Herbert. Part of that is the fact that I hate the Buffalo Bills and I just don't like Josh Allen. But the other part of that is Josh Allen is a roller coaster ride, and Herbert at the time, in my opinion, wasn't as much. I think they're closer now. Josh Allen, I think, has more special. I think Josh Allen is going to give you the bigger wow moments. I think Josh Allen is going to have the better opportunity to pull things out of a hat that Justin Herbert isn't able to do. And even though we just talked about how Justin Herbert is 50-50, in those big moments, I would argue that Josh Allen isn't much better. So, Mo, for me, it comes down to which of the two overall is just more consistent. And for that, I'm going to go with Justin Herbert. I think that, he doesn't miss the layup plays as often as Josh Allen does. Yes, in those game-winning moments, he needs to get better, but I would argue Josh Allen needs to do the same thing. So I think if you're looking at these two quarterbacks who both have all the talent in the world, I'll take a little less of the spectacular for a little more of the consistency across the board.
That's an interesting take, because I'm sitting here thinking the whole time that as much as we point out what Josh Allen isn't, he has that big wow factor, right? And he's got that bazooka for an arm. There's a part of me that knows that like I said, his highs are the ultimate highs and his lows are gut punches. But I would sign up for that roller coaster to a degree. Josh Allen might not win 5 Super Bowls, but I think that he is a guy that when it all said and done, he's going to win at least a Super Bowl. He will be a Bills legend times 10 by winning that one Super Bowl. I like Justin Herbert, and I agree. He is probably the more steadier of the two. If you want a steady captain, some guy that's going to do all the right things and a lot less of the wrong things. But I'm not sure that his steady will ever lead you beyond where Josh Allen's high could lead you. Do you know what I mean? Like, he's going to be more steadier. And maybe when it's all said and done and you look at their statistics, Josh Allen's going to have more turnovers, maybe more picks. But Josh Allen's probably going to be the one of the two that's going to have at least a couple of championships. So I'm going to sign up for the crazy train, because I think that the crazy train, when it's right, it's amazing.
No, and it's hard to argue. Josh Allen's had more success. You look at their recent years, these are two teams that have both been talented the last 2 or 3 years, and Allen's had more playoff success. It just is what it is. Now, I would also argue that Allen has the better defense in production, not on paper. We all know who has the best defense in the league on paper, and it's my guy Staley over there who can't seem to figure the defense out. Although they played pretty well last night, Mo. Credit to the Chargers defense. They played decent last night, and it almost hurts more if you're a Chargers fan, right? You hold the Dallas Cowboys, who everyone expects to be a playoff team. Everyone expects them to kind of contend and push the Eagles a little bit for the division, and you hold them to 20 points, and then your offense can't score 21. I mean, all season with the Chargers, it's, well, man, we got the offense, but the defense just can't hold down their part. They did. You want to hold a team like Dallas to 20. You think you can score at least 24, 28. Not the case last night.
And you shut down the run game. You took away Pollard immediately. He was a non-factor. And you also made it about Dak. And you controlled him for the better part. He made a couple of off-time plays with his legs and arms, and that really was the difference in the football game, because, like you said, all night long, they were in the backfield. They were all over him. Like, he got sacked 5 times, but I saw a couple of times he should have got sacked. They could have easily had 7 or 8 sacks. Like, it wasn't that their defense didn't play well. Surprisingly, the offense was inconsistent throughout the game.
And right now we are going to, well, you know what we're doing. It's Tuesday. It's Tuesday here on the morning show. So we're bringing in JG. We got baseball to talk about. We got things happening in both championship series. And we got a couple of teams that are looking pretty good early on in this round of the playoffs. And I got to ask JG if this is what we're going to be looking at here in the future. JG, how are you this morning, sir?
Hey, good morning, fellas. How you guys doing?
What's good, JG? What about them Phillies in the long ball?
I mean, they've been doing it. They've been doing it for the last few weeks. Even going into even in the regular season, the last couple of weeks in the regular season, this is what the Phillies have been doing. I've kind of used the phrase "death by 1,000 cuts." They get base hits. They get the timely long ball home run. and by the time you blink, it's a 3-4 run lead. And so, credit to what they're doing. Credit to the timing of how they play at this point of the year. I mentioned to you guys yesterday. This is just the credit to how the team is built. They are built for these moments, and when the lights are on and they're at, especially in that stadium at home, I mean they're feeding off of everything that's going on in that ballpark. So I'm not shocked. I'm not surprised. This is just how they've been playing over the last month.
Do the Diamondbacks have any chance of not necessarily winning this series, but making a series out of it? Philly seems to have all the momentum on their side coming off of that Braves win, and it was palpable in game one. Like, I don't think there was ever really a point during that game where you felt like the Diamondbacks really were going to find a way to pull out game one. Is there a chance for them to get into this series, win a couple of games, make it competitive? Or are we looking at a sweep or a potential gentleman's sweep here at the Phillies?
Yeah, I don't see it. That the Diamondbacks have enough firepower to match Philadelphia. Now, they're a good hitting team. Corbin Carroll is going to be should be the unanimous Rookie of the Year, and that's a young superstar in the making that we're seeing. But they have to be able to out hit the Phillies. I don't think they can outpower the Phillies, but if they can out hit them and kind of just spread the ball around the field and get base hits and score runs that way and jump ahead in that process, I think they can. But again, Philly just makes them make mistakes. They make you make mistakes, and when they get that mistake, they don't miss. That's the key of this team is they will not miss mistakes. So, do they have? Can the Diamondbacks make it a series? 5 games, maybe 6. I'm going to go very, very low odds that it'll go 6 games. 5 games, I can see it. I can see them getting 1 game at home in either game 3 or game 4. But there's too much firepower for the Phillies offense. There's the pitching can match up with the Diamondbacks. When they have Gallen on the mound, they have Wheeler or Nola going as well. I mean, those two pitchers are right now they're pitching the best in the postseason. So I'd like to say it's going to be a series, and Diamondbacks will make it close, but I don't see it. I think Philadelphia is just too good right now. They're too powerful with what they have compared to the Diamondbacks.
Looking at the other side, we talked early last week, or no, the week prior actually, about Texas. And we talked about, was there going to be somewhat of a hangover for Texas coming into the playoffs, having that lull towards the end of the season, not being able to clinch their division. We saw them handle business when they had to in their opening series, and now they've jumped out to a 2-0 lead on the Houston Astros. So now, JG, I look at this and I have to say, hey, sometimes playoffs in every single sport is sometimes as easy as getting hot at the right time. Ask Eli Manning and the New York Giants. When you get hot at the right time, it sometimes results in championships. And this is taking nothing away from the talent on the Texas Rangers, but they've had an up and down season at times. They've gone through stretches where they haven't looked great despite their talent. But now when it matters the most against the division rival with a trip to the World Series on the line, they jump out to a 2-0 lead. But then I look at this as a Yankee fan and I say, God damn the Houston Astros, because I know they do things, JG. They do things down there in Houston, and I wouldn't be surprised if Houston came back and won 4 straight, and I don't think a lot of people would be because they are the Houston Astros. So where do you sit with Texas having a 2-0 lead and Houston being down 2-0?
Well, this is the difference this year, I think, in regards of Houston and in regards of the Rangers. This is not the same Houston Astros we've seen over the last 5-6 years. It's just not. I don't think anybody's really afraid of the Houston Astros. We talked about this as being an Astros team that's just experience. They will ride the experience of postseason play as deep as it'll take them. So far, it's been made it to the championship series, but they have had something missing. It's kind of the same thing as I said about the Dodgers. The Dodgers all year they had something missing in their instinct, even though they had a lot of injuries and everything before the injuries took place. They had a lot of things that were just not there. The Astros are the same. I don't think the Rangers particularly, because earlier in the year, we had players coming out on the Rangers after a sweep in their series in the regular season. They said, screw the Astros. This is our division now. And they bit off more than they can chew because they end up losing the division. But they're not afraid of the Astros. The Rangers they're taking it to them now. As I kind of told some people yesterday, some of the parents I coach, the Rangers are out Astroing the Astros. What we've seen over the last 5-6 years is they will beat you offensively. They will, they're gonna out hit you, they're gonna outpower you, and they're gonna let their pitching just absolutely take over the game because they have a 4, 5, 6 run lead, and they're just gonna tell the pitchers, don't lose the game for us, just do your job, attack the zone, and give us a chance to win this game because we already gave you 4, 5, 6 runs in the process. Well, what are the Rangers doing? They're jumping 4 runs ahead early and basically telling the pitchers, don't lose. Don't lose the game. They are out Astroing the Astros right now, and in the process, they're not afraid of the Astros. So yes, the Astros are a much better road team, and I think that's in the mind of a lot of people right now as it's going to Arlington this upcoming week, But that crowd, again, playing in front of a crowd that is thirsty and it has bad memories of 2011 out here in Arlington, Texas. They are going to be fired up for this opportunity that I think this Rangers team is just not going to back down. And they're not afraid of the Astros, and they're going to go and take it to them. So could I see the Astros win a game or two? I can see them win one game in Arlington, head back to Houston, win game 5 in Houston, and then potentially lose it in 6. But this team, talking about a hot team, that's the Texas Rangers right now. They are hot, and they're swinging the bats well, and Bruce Bochy, credit Bruce Bochy for the job that he's done with this team and it's not a surprise. He's one of the best managers we've seen over the last 15 years, 20 years, and a future Hall of Famer. And it should be no doubt about that. Bruce Bochy is a Hall of Famer when this is all said and done for him. But credit him for turning the culture around and turning the franchise around to where they are today and setting themselves up for a future over the next 3, 4, 5 years that can relate the success that they're having so far in 2023.
JG, you mentioned Bochy as a manager, and I've been thinking about this for a few days now. I wanted to get your take on this. There's this prevailing argument currently in Major League Baseball that because of analytics and because of the power that the front office has with the GM and ownership, and let's be honest, if you look at the salaries of Major League Baseball managers and you compare them to the salaries of coaches in other sports, they make nothing by comparison. And there's this narrative in Major League Baseball that as long as the guy you got back there is competent and he just knows how the game of baseball works, anyone can write a lineup card based on analytics and what your front office is telling you. And anyone can kind of sit there, in a full uniform nonetheless, and go look out there and be like, yeah, he looks like he's losing it. Let's go put someone else in. Obviously, if your manager is terrible and they don't understand the game of baseball and they're just making silly baseball decisions out there, yes, that's going to impact the game. But in your opinion, and having played the game and seeing different managers and managerial types, what do you say to that narrative? The narrative of as long as they're competent, the manager doesn't move the needle nearly as much as a head coach in basketball or a head coach in football does.
Well, look at the success rate of those teams that give the full power to the front office over the manager. It doesn't work. It doesn't. You have teams like the Red Sox who we bought in who bought into the analytical side, but the difference is they had the money to get the players that fit the narrative of what they want, and they were able to win a World Series from there. But you have to have baseball minds, regardless of what the numbers say. Analytics, I said this to you guys yesterday, analytics is a tool. You cannot rely on just the percentages because if you have a percentage, isn't there a percentage on the other way around too? Isn't there a negative percentage on top of the positive percentage? Mm-hmm. That's just part of the game. Whereas some of these front office guys who run teams and general managers and presidents of baseball operations and are telling these managers, the percentages say this will work. Yes, it will work. But what about the percentage? If it says, 65% of the time this player will do this. Okay, but what about the other 35% though? What about the other 35% that doesn't work? what's being told to these guys is we're not worried about the 35%. We're worried about the 65% because the 65% means more times than not, they're going to succeed. I'll just say they're going to succeed. But that 35% is still there. You cannot ignore the 35%. That's the problem with the analytical, relying on analytics more than just understanding this is a tool. We have it in our disposal. But me as a baseball guy, I know the game. I know the feeling of it. The momentum swings. We can feel when momentum swings. Numbers don't say, well, here's what happens when a momentum swing occurs. That doesn't say that. That's a feel. So you cannot eliminate the feel of the game. You cannot eliminate the knowledge of how this game is played when these guys are playing at a high or when they're playing at a low. The numbers just don't account for emotions. Let me put it that way. They don't account for emotions. And that's a part of the game, no matter what way you put it. They're not robots. Players are not robots. You have to. That's where the numbers really live and die from. Is if you have you put it in a computer and say, all right, spit it out. What's the results going to be? These guys are not robots. So when you have people who are like those general managers and saying, hey, this is the lineup, and again, credit to Billy Beane, and we had this in Moneyball, and we saw that all the time where Billy Beane was telling Art Howe, hey, I want this lineup because this is the numbers say that this is going to work for us, and so on and so forth. But when you have these front office guys that say, I want the lineup like this, ask the question, why? Well, what the numbers say. Well, no. I don't want the numbers. Why do you want the lineup to be this way? What about this player? What about this situation? Or what about this allows us to succeed? If it's being told, well, this is what the numbers say. I don't give a damn what the numbers say because, again, you have the negative number that's still there. And then in baseball, the negative number still matters more than the positive. 3 out of 10 times you succeed. Well, guess what? You failed 7 times. It doesn't say 3 out of 10 times you succeed. But if you have the 65%, 70% ahead, then your numbers are going to jump up to 5 out of 10 you'll succeed. It doesn't work that way. You have to account for the negative more than the positive because in this game, negatives occur more than the positives. And that's something that number people, the front office, not to be rude or anything, but the number nerds in baseball, the analytical nerds, they don't account for. And the baseball guys, the baseball minds, Bruce Bochy being one, Dusty Baker being another, they do account for that. They account for the field. They account for the negatives on top of it and say, you know what? Yeah, hey, he may not be good against lefties in the box, but he is hot right now. He's seeing the ball really well. I'll give him a chance to see what he can do because he's been doing it for us. And again, Bruce Bochy make you playing with the numbers a little bit because you had Robbie Grossman start over Evan Carter yesterday. But again, Grossman has been hitting lefties a lot better. He has been succeeding 3 out of 10 right now, whereas Evan Carter hasn't even seen a lefty pitcher in the major leagues yet. So that's a feel. That is a feel that says, I haven't given this kid a chance to bat against a lefty, but I have someone who can. I feel that out. And so that's what you look at and say, that's where the baseball mind will say, I trust him. I'm going to give him the opportunity.
Gentlemen, before JG gets out of here, we're going to step away from baseball a little bit. I want to talk about something that actually happened a few days ago. It happened during Thursday Night Football. And I'm going to set the scene for our audience in case they weren't caught up on this. But it happened live on the coverage of Thursday Night Football. And it happened with Steve Smith and Jerry Jeudy. And here's the background of it. So apparently Steve Smith has his own podcast. He's doing his own thing. And on his own podcast, he labels guys as Jags, G-A-G, J-A-G, and J-A-G, a Jag being just a guy. So he refers to players who are put in skill level positions who are supposed to be impact players. And he basically says, you're not an impact player or you're not performing like an impact player. And currently you're just a guy. You're just another guy out there with the other 52 guys. You're not making an impact. You're not living up to whatever you are. And that's how he's been referring to Jeudy, or that's how he's referred to Jeudy in the past. And apparently his opinion on Jeudy had changed a little bit. And now that he had an opportunity to be calling or part of the broadcast for the Thursday Night Football game against the Chiefs, he was going to seek out Jeudy to kind of clear the air with him. maybe explain why he initially said that and why he doesn't think that anymore. But he was going to approach Jeudy to have a conversation about what he said about him on his show. Apparently, another person came up that was at the game with one of the players on the Broncos that he also made some comments about. They hashed it out. They were good. Then he went to approach Jeudy, and Jeudy wasn't having any of it. Jeudy basically called him the N-word a few times, said, "I don't F with you," and that was it. We're done. So I want to get your take on this, not so much from, and you can take it any way you want, but here's the way I'm going to spin it. I have no issue with anything that I've said so far. Steve Smith can say what he wants to say on his podcast. He can say what he wants to say on any platform, whether he's paid to be on that platform or not, especially if he's paid on a platform where he's allowed to just spew his thoughts, right? If he is on his own podcast, say whatever you want to say, Steve Smith. It is your show. You do your thing, right? That's what you were paid to do. I'm sure you have sponsors who like you doing that. That is fine. If you're on First Take or any of those shows on ESPN or FS1 where you're there to give your take on things, by all means, speak your mind. My issue is that he took something that was personal, that he kind of created in a separate environment from Thursday Night Football. Yes, there was some added layers to it because he was there for Thursday Night Football. And then he used his Thursday Night Football platform to go at Jerry Jeudy. He was not there as an individual color commentator like a First Take. He was there as a sideline reporter for Thursday Night Football. So my take on it was, if you felt disrespected by Jerry Jeudy, fine, feel how you want to feel. Save it for your show. Save it for a show where it's a more appropriate platform to have that rant. Because I don't feel Thursday Night Football was the appropriate platform to have that rant. But I'll stop there and let you guys kind of jump in on it. And we'll start with you, Mo.
I just thought that Steve Smith made a situation that he went to mend so much worse. And he made it personal because Jerry Jeudy, like you said, he's not a robot. He heard the comments. He was upset. Steve Smith tried to approach him, and Jerry Jeudy responded. Like he said, he called him a ninja a couple of times, and he didn't want to talk to him. And then Steve Smith went on a rant, basically saying that Jerry Jeudy was a third tier. He was a tier 3 wide receiver. And he said a lot of things in between that. And I'm with you. If you are in your podcast and you want to get personal or go on a rant like that, that might be that is definitely your spot. It's your show. You're free to say what you want to say. But on Thursday Night Football, you're not there representing just Steve Smith. It's Thursday Night Football. You're supposed to be a commentator talking about the game, being an analyst, and you made it completely personal. And I'm a Steve Smith fan, and I get it. If you know Steve Smith, normally what Steve Smith would have done, and I'm being serious, he would have folded Jerry Jeudy up like a chair. That's what Steve Smith would have done. He would have folded him up. But I guess because he was on air and he was trying to show restraint, and I guess his version of restraint is just to go on a rant. So while I don't agree with the rant, I'm actually kind of proud of Steve Smith. He did not fold him up like I knew he normally would have. He just said what he had to say. I disagree with how he presented it, but I understand, especially when you consider what Jerry Jeudy actually called him. I'm just saying.
JG, as an athlete, you know this is kind of part of the territory. People are going to say things. People are going to judge you. People are going to have opinions of you. I would imagine as an athlete, Jerry Jeudy probably, after hearing Steve Smith's comments, just didn't want to talk to him. I mean, there's nothing that says you have to talk to the person that badmouthed you. You know, you don't need to hear their side of it or their opinion of it. I mean, I guess you could argue if he was, you know, the right thing to do would be hear him out and then formulate a new opinion. But he's not required to do that, JG.
No, and 100%. And I look at this. I'll start with here. Looking at Jerry Jeudy's numbers, and what is Steve Smith's job? What is Steve Smith? Steve Smith's an analyst. He's about giving his opinion. And I've been I've been critical, last week, in our group and whatnot about reporters and the media on that side of it. But Steve Smith's not a reporter. He's an analyst. He is supposed to give his opinion of football. And looking at the numbers of Jerry Jeudy through his career in the NFL, well, one, he's not wrong. Jerry Jeudy has been just a guy. So that's where I look at it in the aspect of the beginning point of this. Now, if Steve Smith if Jerry Jeudy's not happy, and we've seen this, guys are never going to be happy when negative is being talked about you. But if Steve Smith, who goes up to you and says, hey, I'm going to reiterate why I said this, and I'm going to tell you from what he said, I'm going to tell you right now, you're proving me wrong. I think a conversation and listening to Steve should have been had by Jerry Jeudy instead of just dismissing him and says, "Nah, F you, I'm not listening to you. Who are you supposed to?" Well, first off, Steve Smith, that's a hell of a career he had, and he's a hell of a person in the NFL who,
I think he's gonna be a
my goodness, if you want to listen to somebody talk about the game and talk about playing receiver, that should be one Jerry Jeudy should be listening to. If he has an opinion of you, you go listen to him. It's no different than Randy Moss. It's no different than Chris Carter. It's no different than Jerry Rice. That if those guys have an opinion of you, even if it's negative, you go listen. You figure out why that opinion is being made and how do you get better to eliminate that opinion. But Steve, now I will say this. I agree with you on this part, Chris. Was the timing of the explanation by Smith on Thursday Night Football the right time? No, I agree. Give this background of it and say, hey, I'm going to address it later on. I'm going to address it where the appropriate time is met. But we've seen talking about players. Talking about when we talk about Deion is Deion. He's going to have the timing on his time when he wants to say something. Steve Smith's no different. Steve Smith and a little bit more abrasive in how he speaks. I think that's a better way to put it. So he knew what he was doing on Thursday Night Football. He goes, you know what? Hey, you disrespected me when I just doing my job, and I gave an opinion that I was hoping to help you, to be able to help you. I'm going to now destroy you. I'm going to destroy you on Thursday Night Football, and I'm going to make sure that you are embarrassed because you try to embarrass me in private. You try to embarrass me. That doesn't work for me. So I'm going to go ahead and embarrass you in public on Thursday Night Football broadcast. Was that right? No, it wasn't right. As far as a journalist, and I know Steve's not really a journalist, but in the media, I'll say this. In the media platform, that was not the right call for Steve to do. But Steve Smith is Steve Smith, and he's going to stick to who he is, and that was what he did. But I put blame more on Jeudy being a little bit soft and dismissing Steve Smith's opinion instead of saying, hey, you know what? All right, Steve, I hear you, and you're coming to talk to me. Okay, what do I need to do then? Do you tell me, because you're going to be a potential Hall of Famer. It should be a potential Hall of Famer. You tell me, what do I need to do to get my career on the right track? That's maturity that is needing to be happen for Jerry Jeudy, and I don't think that's going to be the case. If how he reacted to negative opinion, we're all going to hate negative opinions. We're all going to hate being criticized, but have the maturity to understand why that's being said. Listen to it and say, okay, I need to be better. I need to do this. This is coming from one of the best receivers of his time, of his era. I need to listen to him then. And that's what that didn't happen. If that's not going to happen for Jeudy with Steve Smith criticizing him, who is it going to be from that Jeudy listens to then? Because like I said, Steve Smith was one of the best receivers in his career, in his time frame. Underrated, one of the best, but he was one of the best. So if it's not coming from him that he's going to listen to, who is it going to come from for Jerry Jeudy to absolutely realize he has underwhelmed in his career and he needs to figure out to get better? That one, I don't know.
I think you can attest that it won't be Russell Wilson.
No, it will not be Russell Wilson. And look to what you both said. Jeudy goes out and plays the game. He didn't do anything. He was right. Like you could have said, like, watch what I do. I'm about to show you how good I actually am. And he was a non-factor. He did nothing. Had zero impact on the game at all.
Yeah, Russell just go up and be like, "Let's go, Jeudy. We got this.
Let's ride.
Let's ride."
Now, Russ is not going to ruffle any. I'm a Russell Wilson fan. I am, and I know it's not easy saying that these days. But what I will say is, what I don't like about Russ is, I just think he never actually says what's on his mind. Right? Like, you get these carbon copy, predetermined sound bites from him. And it's just not genuine. And he's not the kind of quarterback, maybe a Josh Allen, Maybe a Patrick Mahomes, if he needs to, will get in the receiver's face and say, "Stop whining, I got you," or focus on the game. Russ is not going to do that. He's not that guy.
Well, Russ, I'll put this, and one of the criticisms, I'm a very big critic of Russell Wilson. I've never emphasized him being a top quarterback, just because what we're seeing from Russ is what I've seen throughout his career. It's been hidden because he had success in Seattle by a good defense and a good running back. Russell Wilson is too corporate. Let me put it that way. He's too corporate to get in somebody's face with emotion and say, "Shut up and go do your job." He's too corporate. He's towing that company line to be like, "Hey, I have an image. I can't disrupt my image. If I go be emotional and show my emotion to my teammates and get in their face, that's going to be negative on me. I can't do that." That's not the quarterback position. My goodness. Peyton Manning showed emotion. He got in. There was a video of him and Jeff Saturday yelling at each other on the sideline when Jeff put him in his place. But he still did it. Tom Brady, going after players regardless if he was in the right or wrong and doing it. Brett Favre went after people. Aaron Rodgers sometimes went after people. Drew Brees did it as well. I mean, you have some of these top quarterbacks who are the elite level quarterbacks who have an image. They still go after people. Russell Wilson, for some reason in his mind, does not want to go after people because he's too corporate to do it. And when he does show emotion, when he does go after somebody, they look at him and say, "You shut up." They don't respect him when he does that. That's the problem for Russ, is that when he goes after somebody, they don't respect him because they know you're fake if you do it that way. That's never been who you are. Nobody's going to view Peyton Manning that way in his career. They know he's fired up. The sheriff will get in your face, and they're going to listen to him when he does. Tom Brady, same way. Drew Brees, same way. Brett Favre, same way. Go down the list of the elite quarterbacks. That's what it's been. But for Russell Wilson, they know that's not who you are. Don't act like you're not this person. Don't act like you're this quarterback. You're not that person. You go back and be who you are. And that's what's hurt him throughout his career in this situation with Jerry Jeudy and the receiving core that he's played with. They don't look at him and say, "Yeah, I'm afraid of you getting in my face." That's just never been who he is.
JG, pleasure as always having you here on the morning show with us, and we will see you later on in the week, sir.
Thanks for the knowledge, JG.
As always, guys, appreciate it.
Hey guys, it's Pavel the Cat.
And Evan Rev Reynolds.
And we are Two Guys in Hockey Talk. We are here every Wednesday night at 7 p.m. Mountain Standard Time to talk all things hockey. What are we talking about, Evan?
We talk KHL, AHL, ECHL, every HL hockey league you can think about, prospects, juniors, even the professional women's hockey league.
Yeah, we love it. And we have a website, Two Guys in Hockey Talk. So give us a follow. We got articles on all things related to hockey, and we're writing all throughout the season. So make sure you tune in. We're also on X or Twitter. You can find me at hockey_2, and
you can follow me at RevanEv. Or you can also go to twoguysandhockeytalk.com to follow everything.
We love hearing from you guys, so make sure you tune in, comment, like, give us a follow on our Facebook and YouTube page. We love hearing from you guys, and it's a blast talking all things hockey. Right, Evan?
Hey, man, it is. So, as we say every show, in the meantime and in between time,
keep your sticks on the ice. Cheers.
Cheers.
Welcome back here. I love those guys too. Aren't they great?
I love those guys. You can feel how enthusiastic they are when they're talking, man. The only thing I would question, I would love to have them on and go, "All right, guys, how many takes did it take you to get that done?"
Right,
I'm just curious because that's a really good plug. But I'm just curious how many takes it took.
I will say this, Mo. We've been trying to get the hockey guys on our show for a few weeks now, but they're not. First of all, they're not stateside. That's the first issue. They're in a different country, and they just have opposite schedules of us. So at some point, we're going to get one, if not both of them, here on the morning show to talk a little bit of hockey. It's a bucket list dream of mine. So if you guys are listening this morning, please, figure out a way that we can sync up to get you guys on the show. But Mo, let's talk a little more football here. News came out yesterday from Indianapolis. The season could be over for Anthony Richardson. He is most likely going to have shoulder surgery. They will know more after that surgery what his timeline looks like. But as we are already a third of the way through the current NFL season, it doesn't look promising that he's going to be able to return this season. And let's be honest, even if he's cleared towards the end of the season, Indy
shutting
will
him
most
down.
likely not be in the hunt. So there would be no point to bring him back regardless. So, Mo, I ask you this question. Indianapolis technically is still in the race for the division as we talk today. Obviously, up and down play from Gardner Minshew as their backup quarterback. Is it Kirk Cousins time? Is it time to go? If you know the rookie's not coming back and you think you have enough to make a run at the division, you probably aren't going to be a wild card team because I don't think you're going to win enough games. You're probably an 8 or 9 win team.
Right.
That's probably your ceiling. But if you're looking at Jacksonville and if you think you can compete with them, I know it was an ugly, not great loss to them this week, but that was with your backup in there. So if you think, Cousins would have made a difference in that game, you still got Jacksonville on the schedule again, I believe. I don't think they've played twice yet. Do you roll the dice and say, hey, if we can make a playoff run, if we can make a division run, why not? If we don't have to give up a lot, we're not going to sell the house for Kirk Cousins, obviously. It's just a half-year rental. But if you could make the move, do you look into it, Mo? Or do you just say, it is what it is? Our future got hurt. Let him heal. He'll come back next year. We'll build more pieces around him, and we'll make another run at it.
As a fan on the outside watching, I would love it if they would kick the tires on bringing in Kirk Cousins, even though we both know it would just be a 1-year rental. That 1-year rental could be amazing. If you get Kirk Cousins, I think you're automatically on par with Jacksonville because say what you want, Kirk Cousins is still as good, probably better than Sunshine right now at this stage of their career. And people love Trevor Lawrence, but I don't think Trevor Lawrence right now today is actually a better quarterback than Kirk Cousins. So I think it's a great move. Also, I would say this. If not the Colts, why not stay in that division and maybe the Titans take a look at Kirk Cousins? Clearly, you're not getting it done with Ryan Tannehill. You look at the young quarterbacks that are on that bench. They don't look like they're the future for the Titans as well. Why not take a shot with Kirk Cousins? At least in Tennessee, with Kirk Cousins, he could be your quarterback of the present and the future.
Yeah, that's a really great point. And the Colts are 3-3, Mo. I mean, despite the fact that they've had zero consistency at the quarterback position, I don't have the numbers in front of me, but it's got to be close to 50-50 as far as playing time goes because Richardson's been hurt a lot through these first 6 games. So with no real consistency at the quarterback position between a rookie quarterback and a journeyman backup quarterback, you're 3-3. And let's not forget, your first 4 games, you didn't have your all-pro running back.
Right.
Because he was on the PUP list. So I understand fans being like, stop the Kirk Cousins talk. This is ridiculous. Why would they do this? I just told you why. They're a 500 team with no talent at the quarterback position right now. And I'm sorry, he's a rookie quarterback who was unpolished. Yes, he looked better than we thought he was going to look, but it was inconsistent at best. Gardner Minshew is not a starter in the league. He is a very capable backup quarterback, but he is not a franchise quarterback. And they made it work. They made it work to a 3-3 record. You can't tell me that if you bring Kirk Cousins into the mix here, he isn't going to be able to be a little bit better than what you currently have. And if he's a little bit better, now you're an above 500 team. Now you're a game or two above 500. Now you're talking potentially division with Jacksonville, who you're only 1 game behind right now.
And why wouldn't you Colts fans be excited about that prospect? Like you said, with Minshew, you're a 500 team. You bring in Kirk Cousins with the weapons that they have, Taylor's rounding into shape. Now you're a 10-win team. Now you're right there with Jacksonville, I think, on a level playing field. So I don't understand all the, why would you bring him in? No one's saying he's replacing Richardson. It's a 1-year rental. And it's great for your franchise, but it's also great for Kirk Cousins because he's auditioning for his next home. So and look, who knows, when you have the Colts and their owner, he might very well turn around and go, you know what? I love Kirk Cousins. I think he's going to stay. I've always loved Kirk Cousins. That wouldn't shock me at all either. And look, just for the drama of it, I want Kirk Cousins to go to one of those 2 teams, preferably the Colts, in that division because I think it's a great fit.
If he was to go to Tennessee, I mean, it's almost a better sell for Cousins because, like you said, Mo, at that point, you're basically saying, hey, Tannehill is at the end of his rope here. He did great for us when he came over from Miami. He was successful his first few seasons. There was an AFC championship game in there. There were a couple of number 1 seeds in there, I believe, toe-to-toe with Brady. It was really great. But the last season and a half, it's been really bad. And he is not the future of this organization. How do we know? They drafted Malik Willis and they drafted Will Levis. Ryan Tannehill is not the future of the Tennessee Titans organization. Why not bring in a Kirk Cousins who can play for you this year? And heck, let him play for you next year as well while you figure out what you have with Malik Willis and Will Levis. Because honestly, Mo, I don't think you got it with either of them. I don't think either of them is going to be the future of this team.
They're not better than Kirk Cousins.
No, they're not better than Kirk Cousins.
Right.
And I don't know if their ceiling is better than Kirk Cousins either.
No, agreed.
So
look, if we're being 100, I don't know if their ceiling is better than Tannehill.
Yeah, it's fair.
Do you know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know if they like some guys have another level to them, and then some guys, their career backups. And there's nothing wrong with that. That just might be their lot in life. They just happen to get drafted somewhat high with the potential of being a starter or a franchise quarterback. And right now, if Tennessee thought either one of those guys was that guy, Tannehill wouldn't be playing.
Not at all. And I watch more Tennessee Titan football than I should because my best friend is a Tennessee Titan fan, and I like Ryan Tannehill. So I support Ryan Tannehill, and I watch because of my friend. Mo, I don't know. I can't think of another offense in the NFL that just looks slow like Tennessee. Everything Tannehill does, it just looks like it's taking forever to happen back there for him. I'm just, and I don't know what it is, and I don't know if I just have this like thing in my mind that Tannehill's coming to the end, but it just looks off. And I feel like you inject a Kirk Cousins in there, at least we're going to speed things up a little bit and we're going to get the ball out because you got some talent out there in the receiver group, potentially DeAndre Hopkins, who isn't getting the ball because Tannehill's not getting rid of it. And I see Tannehill putting his head down to brace the impact of the coming rush more than I see him delivering on-time footballs. So
I watched that too.
It can't get
worse.
worse.
A lot of their games. My brother-in-law is a big Tennessee Titan fan, and so I watch the games just so I can pick at him. But what I'm watching from Tannehill, or at least what I'm seeing, is he is looking at the rush versus looking downfield. And I've been taught this: when the quarterback starts seeing the rush, not in the way where you have an awareness, but when you start seeing the rush and you're not looking downfield and you're looking for a place to lie down, you're done. You're done. And I think that everybody ages differently, but it looks like Ryan Tannehill is closer to the end than anywhere in terms of sustaining his career. I think that if you get a Kirk Cousins, nobody would cheer that move more than Derrick Henry.
Yeah, speaking of Derrick Henry, his name is being brought up on the trade route because why not? Tennessee is 2-4. They're last in their division. Henry, I believe, is a free agent after this year, so it's a walk year for him. So why not entertain the potential of moving him if you're not going to make a change at quarterback? If you don't foresee yourself climbing out of the basement of your division, you're only 2 games back. And in theory, you're only a game back from a wild card as of right now. So it's not like all hope is lost in Tennessee. But Mo, with the emergence of the Houston Texans, who are also 3-3 with the Colts, who are getting quality production from their quarterback position, it's not perfect. It's up and down. He's a rookie quarterback. That's what you expect. Tannehill is the worst quarterback in that division right now. He is behind CJ Stroud. He is not getting the same production. And if you take Tannehill out and you put Malik Willis in there, you're not getting any closer. You are getting further away from CJ Stroud. And I would even argue you're getting further away from what's happening in Indianapolis because even though Gardner Minshew isn't a world beater, he's probably on par with Tannehill and he's better than Malik Willis. So you don't have the options in the room right now to sit there and say, we have the first or second best quarterback in our division. So if you're not going to remedy that, I would look into a Henry deal. I don't know what you're going to get for him. He is an older running back. He's going to want a big deal next year. He's hurt more often than he's not later on in his career.
I don't think he's going to get a big deal.
I don't think he's getting a big deal either. He's going to ask for it, but I don't think he's going to get it. And I don't think
29, right? 29, 29 or 30.
29 or 30. Yeah, he's right around there.
And he's a contact runner.
A heavy contact runner. Now,
right,
granted,
he's a contact runner.
Man's built different. There aren't many bodies like him at the running back position in the NFL, but at the same
time, there's not many
defensive
defensive ends built like him in the NFL.
the wear and tear is real, Mo, and you know that. So not only do I think he's not getting a big contract next year, I don't think you're going to get offered much for him this year. So unless you're looking at it as, well, we're not going to re-sign him next year anyways, regardless, whether he would take a 1-year deal or not, we're just going to move on from it. And I don't know why you would think that if he would take a 1-year deal, but maybe they know. Maybe they know he wants a 3-year deal, and you're not going to give that to him. So if you know your time is done, and you know you're not going to make a change at quarterback, Mo, I say go ahead. Move him to a contender, get a 6th-round pick, a 5th-round pick, maybe at the most, but probably a 6th or a 7th, especially with some of the trades we've seen this year. People are trading players in a 6th-round pick to get back a 7th-round pick.
Right.
So
let me ask you, Chris, though, if they do that, is this the start of this isn't conceding just this season? Is this the start of a semi-rebuild, right?
For sure. So, because
right. So I guess what I'm saying is if you're going to move Henry and he's 29, 30, wouldn't you move D-Hop as well? I think he's 30, 31. He's not young. He's not young either. If you're cleaning house and you're saying we need a fresh start, we need to get some young legs in here in general, why not move D-Hop? You probably get more for a D-Hop than you will for a Henry in this era of the way the game is played.
Yeah, I think D-Hop can still be a low-end 1 on a below-average team and a high-end 2 on a good to great team. So I 100% agree. You got more value there in D-Hop, and you make a great point, Mo. If you're going to move Henry because, you're kind of waving the white flag, you're not going to keep D-Hop imprisoned here. He's older than Henry is.
Right.
So, and he didn't come here for a 3-year rebuild. He came here because he thought you could contend for a playoff spot this year. Among other reasons, money had a lot to do with that as well.
Right.
But he definitely didn't come here because he thought you were going to be a dumpster fire. He came here thinking that, maybe not the division, but maybe the 8, 9, 10 win team at the most, we can compete for a playoff spot. If this is actually going to be more like a 5, 6 win team, I would say move him as well.
Yeah, and look, they do have their running back of the future. I don't know if you watched him. The Spears kid is talented, right?
He is.
Can make people miss in space, explosive. So they do already have their running back of the future. Why not make moves? Why not get Levis in there? Let him play a substantial amount. See what you get or see what you have right now before you get to next year's draft. You and I don't think their next quarterback's on their roster, but why not let them play this season out? Maybe they'll prove us wrong. But the only way to find out is they've got to play. They've got to learn under fire. I've already seen enough of Malik Willis. Actually, I have a pretty good idea that is a backup quarterback.
Yeah, in all fairness, we haven't seen Will Levis yet, technically, in the NFL. So, yeah, and why not? Why not give him half a season to figure it out? And if, it ends up that you missed on the quarterback again, maybe you make a general manager change because now you've missed on 2 quarterbacks. But that's another conversation for another day. But, yeah, if you're gonna move Henry, I agree. You need to move D-Hop. And we'll see. The trade deadline is coming up in the NFL. We'll see if any major moves are made around that time. But great show today, Mo. Another great morning here on Coffee and Sports. Tomorrow morning, Mo, we are talking about the best and worst teams in the NFL heading into Week 7. We're going to look at the top-rated teams and the bottom and decide who is the best of each group. But that is all for the morning. Mo, close us out, sir.
Hey, thanks for everybody for checking us out. Check out all the great content we offer at Sports Empire Network. Check out the Empire.
We will see you right here tomorrow. Same time, same place. It's Coffee and Sports. It's the morning show here on Sports Empire Network. Until tomorrow.
I mean, you can see right now, without LeBron, Lakers are struggling.
Let me tell you about a team I hate, all right? I know the Dallas Cowboys fan is here, so I had to make sure he knew how much I hate this team.
I'm ready.
I've often said that the people who run baseball, they try very hard to ruin it.
I'm from Brooklyn. I don't have a problem saying it to his face. Oh, I'm from Brooklyn. Hey, you guys any